Alright, so this is a 300 word flash fiction story. We're going to be editing it, polishing it, focusing on flow and making sure it all works well. So let's just dive in. Yeti. It was the first night of our Yeti camping expedition. We were all sat around a campfire. Do you think we'll actually see the Yeti? Someone asked. Okay, so already I can see that the title of the story, Yeti, it just does absolutely nothing. There's a little trick where you can use the title. This applies for like chapter titles as well. You can use the title to actually do some heavy lifting and prime the reader going in. Because like Yeti doesn't really tell us anything, because we've got the word Yeti coming up like in every line. So, it was the first night of our Yeti camping expedition. We can just put that all into the title. I don't know if this is the best title or not, but at least it saves us some words. Right. We were all sat around a campfire. Do you think we'll actually see the Yeti? Someone asked. For me, kind of said, this expedition isn't really about hoping to see the Yeti. What's it about then? I asked. This. We were all sat on logs around a campfire. Kind of gestured around the group. Alright, so we were all sat on logs around a campfire, and we were all sat around a campfire, which is completely redundant. So let's just get rid of that. Do you think we'll actually see the Yeti? Someone asked. Okay, so there's a bit of a problem starting the first sentence with some unnamed character. Now I've already skimmed through this, and I know that like Connor is basically the main character, even though we have a first person POV. So it'd be better to get rid of this line. So what does this line actually do? Do you think we'll actually see the Yeti? It shows that they're actually looking for the Yeti, but then that's kind of implicit in a Yeti camping expedition. Also kind of repeats the question in his answer. So I think we can just get rid of that. And the question kind of is kind of implicit in this. This expedition isn't really about hoping to see the Yeti. Now whenever I see the word really, I'm always suspicious of it, because it's always like a filler. It doesn't do anything. It kind of... Wow, this Connor character was supposed to be kind of wise and self-assured, and it really doesn't give off that vibe. So we just get rid of it. This expedition isn't about hoping to see the Yeti. For me, this expedition isn't about hoping to see the Yeti. What's it about then? I asked. This. We were all sat on logs around a campfire, kind of gestured around the group. I think the ordering here is kind of off. Because you kind of want him to gesture around first and then get the description. So we're kind of like following his gesture. So let's just do that. Kind of gestured around the group. We were all sat on logs around a campfire. But this kind of sounds a bit stilted. It sounds stilted. Kind of gestured around the group. We were all sat on logs around the campfire. How about gestured around the group of strangers sitting by the campfire, sitting around the campfire. It's kind of more descriptive. I mean, we're repeating Connor, but I think that's fine. I nodded. It made sense. For someone I just met, Connor was very likable. I mean, that doesn't really make sense. Because normally if someone's very likable, you kind of know immediately. For someone I just met, let's just change it to I liked Connor a lot. Puts it back into the first person perspective. He seemed wise. Now we have a lot of these like short sentences in this paragraph and it sounds a bit choppy. I nodded, it made sense. For someone I just met, I liked Connor a lot, he seemed wise. And it's this one here that kind of throws it off. So let's increase it a bit. Wise. He seemed wise. The ways of the world. I like the flow of that. I nodded. It made sense. For someone I just met, I liked Connor a lot. He seemed wise in the ways of the world. For a time, the group began sharing stories of previous Yeti encounters. Began is another one of those words which is usually filler and is bad. For a time, the group we'll just put the group shared stories of previous Yeti encounters. Some people believed it to be a savage beast. Others claimed it to be a shapeshifter that took on the appearance of a helpful mountain guide. Both Connor and I lacked stories of our own, but we were happy just to sit back and listen. Okay, so this sentence here was quite a mouthful. Some people believed it to be a savage beast. Others claimed it to be a shapeshifter that took on the appearance of a helpful mountain guide. So we're repeating it to be and it to be. Some people believed it to be a savage beast. First of all, people here, we can get rid of that as well. Some believed it to be a savage beast. But if we get rid of it to be, we can change it to some painted it as a savage beast. Others, actually that comma doesn't need to be there. Others claimed it to be a shapeshifter. Some painted it as a savage beast, others, given the structure of the sentence, we actually don't even need this. We can just go others as a shapeshifter that took on the appearance of a helpful mountain guide. It still feels a bit long, but I think it's much better than it was. Both Connor and I lacked stories of our own, but we were happy just to sit back and listen. This strikes me as kind of vague. Like, why are they happy? Are they happy because they like Yeti stories? I think that's what is supposed to be portrayed here. Instead of just being happy to be in a group. Both Connor and I lack stories of our own, but we were happy just to sit back and listen. I can add something here. Something about the listen, and bask in the wonder of them. Kind of adds, it plays up the whole mysteriousness of this story. We're happy just to sit back and listen and bask in the wonder of them. I think there's one too many actions there. We're happy just to listen. We're happy just to listen and bask in the wonder of them. The leader of our expedition interrupted the stories with a head count. He had a rifle slung behind one shoulder. 21. Okay, so here's the thing about flow. This kind of sentence here, it's a good description, but it kind of interrupts the flow, because we're talking about interrupting the stories of a head count, and the head count comes here, but then we have this kind of sentence that comes in between, which kind of just interrupts the whole flow of the paragraph. So if we get rid of that, we can always put it back in here. The leader of the expedition, rifle slung behind his shoulder, interrupted the stories of a head count. Also, we can put it, maybe make it a hunting rifle. It kind of goes with the whole camping in the woods kind of vibe. 21. Somehow we've picked up one extra. So I see the point of this number here is to show that the count's supposed to be off, but we don't know that there's supposed to be 20 people. So let's just put in 20 up here. Connor gestured around the group of 20 strangers sitting around the campfire. Now we've got 21, so that will remind us that, oh, I thought it was supposed to be 20. Somehow we've picked up one extra. Someone here don't belong. He eyed the group suspiciously. Okay, I think I like the line, someone here don't belong. It'd be better to end on that line and put this in here. Because that way it kind of draws it out and adds to the kind of gravity of the line. Somehow we picked up one extra. kind of gives them a pause to eye the group suspiciously and then say, someone here don't belong. I like that. Like everyone else, I looked around at the faces of the group. Ugh. The faces of the group? No. That just sounds stupid. Around the faces of the group. So a lot of time you can try and be more accurate with your verbs. Like looked around is kind of vague. Like you don't really know what he's looking for. If you put a verb like I scanned the faces of the group, scanned already implies looking for information. And so it's just a lot more descriptive of just like a simple change of verb. It's a lot more accurate. Like everyone else, I scanned the faces of the group. And this is stupid. Faces of the group. Like what other faces would there be? But if you get rid of it, I scan the faces doesn't work either. But we'll have to add in, I scan the faces around me. I scan the faces around me. I couldn't tell who the newcomer was. It was too early into the expedition. Okay, like a general rule is when you end a paragraph, like the very last clause is the most important one and the one that sticks in the memory. Just like in this one, we wanted to end with someone here don't belong. We don't want to end this with it was too early into the expedition because it's just kind of irrelevant. So we can just shift the ordering of this sentence. I scanned the faces around me, but it was too early into the expedition to tell who the newcomer was, maybe. It was too early into the expedition. We can just do that. I couldn't tell who the newcomer was. We could also just get rid of this clause entirely. I know it kind of helps explain it actually. Because they've been on an expedition for like a few days. It would be pretty obvious, I think. If you have joined us, the leader said, it ain't no problem, but it will be if you don't announce yourself. Okay, I like that because it's kind of, the tension is rising. He was answered with silence. Okay, so the point here is to create more silent tension, which is good. I think that's a good instinct to have. But I think it's a missed opportunity. Like you should always be trying to think about ways to bring in the senses. And if you have extended dialogue, it's always important to remind readers of the scene. So here, for instance, we could describe the crackling of the fire or the hoot of an owl. And those would be perfectly accurate, but I think they don't actually quite capture what we're trying to go for here. So here I'm trying to think like what the intention is, like what emotion we're trying to elicit from the reader, what state of mind is the POV in. Like I think we want to amplify the mystery and the tension here. And so if we talk about like a crackling fire, that kind of creates like a warm, happy, jovial environment. But if we want tense and mysterious, we should be playing up the fact that like it's nighttime, it's dark, they're in the middle of nowhere. So like he was answered with like the silence of the dark forest night. How about nothing but the dark forest night. Actually, I like the silence. Nothing but the silence of the dark forest night answered him. And let's change that O to a small letter. Nothing but the silence of the dark forest night answered him. You could add something else here about, like, it's kind of cliche, but you could put like something about a chill breeze. It seems very cliche, but it kind of works. A chill breeze blew through the camp. Or you can even go, a chill breeze prickled my hairs. Okay, so we kind of got that mystery, scared in the middle of nowhere vibe going. The leader then voiced the thought in my head. I don't like that. Voiced the thought in my head. The thought in my head. I believe the Yeti is among us as a shapeshifter pretending to be human. Okay, let's change this a bit. He then voiced, the leader put voice to the thought. Not in my head, I don't like in my head. Running through my mind. The leader put voice to the thought running through my mind. Yeah, that sounds better to me. The leader put voice to the thought running through my mind. I believe the Yeti is among us as a shapeshifter pretending to be human. I mean, these two things are the same. So let's just put this. I believe the Yeti is among us pretending to be human. That's good. You're having us on, a woman said, scoffing. Okay, so like, is she scoffing as she says this, or does she say it and then scoff? It's kind of awkward here. I like the scoffing though, because it kind of shows what her where she's at, you know. So we can just put a woman scoffed, because it's more accurate. Because you'd be like, oh, you're having us on. Not, you're having us on. A woman scoffed. You're having us on. No ma'am. I don't mess around on the job. This is as real as it gets. I kind of wish you could like spit some tobacco juice onto the ground, but nah. He swung his rifle around and held it in front of him. It's a bit strong, isn't it? He swung his rifle and held it in front of him. That doesn't really work. It's way too strong. Way too strong. He's supposed to come across as this kind of responsible leader who doesn't mess around on the job, and now he's swinging a rifle around in front of the group. No. So let's just go. He repositioned his rifle closer to hand. So it's just like a subtle. We can even put the word subtly. How do you spell subtly? Subtly. He subtly repositioned his rifle closer to hand. So even though it's like a subtle movement, the fact that it's getting its own sentence like makes us focus on it, and it becomes important. What should we do? Someone asked. Okay, so it's unclear what this person is like, how they're asking this. Like, are they scared, or are they just trying to figure out what to do? We're supposed to be kind of portraying the group here as kind of a little afraid. So let's just give her a stammer. What should we do? Someone asked. That kind of highlights the uncertainty and the group being a little scared here and on edge. Connor stood up. His presence was calming. His presence was calming. I reckon the Yeti means us no harm. Connor stood up. His presence was calming. It's a bit too telling a bit. Connor stood up. Presence was calming. I don't like it. Connor stood up. I kind of like the idea of him soothing the crowd. We can just put something like Connor managing to soothe the crowd. With his calming presence. See, now we're not really saying his presence was calming and stating it as like a fact. Kind of just putting it in as a, like, you know, his presence was always calming, but now he's like managing to soothe the crowd with it. It sounds a bit softer and it sounds more natural. Connor stood up, managing to soothe the crowd with his calming presence. I reckon the Yeti means us no harm and it doesn't wish to be identified. So reckon is kind of a filler word again, which Connor probably shouldn't be using. He should be more self-assured. The Yeti means us no harm and it doesn't wish to be identified. But now this comes across as like a giant leap of logic. Okay, so let's show his thought process a little bit. Like, two things seem clear. One, the Yeti means us no harm. And two, seem is also a filler word. It's funny that I actually just like wrote that in. It's like always like a natural habit to put these filler words in, but two things are clear. Two things are clear. See, it's so much more like assertive saying that. One, the Yeti means us no harm, and two, it doesn't wish to be identified. How do you know? Another said. Is it you? I said, there's fine. You put asked, but you had asked here, so it's fine. How do you know? Another said, is it you? Yeah, that's fine. Connor avoided the question. Okay. We came to have an encounter with the Yeti. Now we're having one. Let's just enjoy it while it lasts. I spoke up. If the Yeti is truly among us, what do you think it wants? Connor sat back down beside me and smiled. This. So the implication here is that Connor is the Yeti. But I reckon it's a little unclear. If we change these pronouns to you, it kind of sets Connor apart from the people he's talking to. You came to have an encounter with the Yeti. Now you're having one. Let's just enjoy it while it lasts. See, that's better. I spoke up. If the Yeti is truly among us, what do you think it wants? Connor sat back down beside me and smiled. This. Okay, so this is supposed to be like an attempt at kind of bookending the story. However, the word this is just kind of forgettable here. So it doesn't quite work. Something stronger would be much better. So I think the whole intention here is that Connor is kind of valuing the kind of simple companionship that he's getting out of meeting this group. And that's what the Yeti wants. So maybe just says that. So like, what would I say? Simple companionship. And then we can even add it back up here. What's it about then? Simple companion. I like him saying this here. So we can add it on at the end. Kind of gestured around the group of 20 strangers sitting around the campfire. This. Simple companionship. So now it's quite strong because we're like ending this paragraph with the key phrase, simple companionship. Kind of sat back down beside me and smiled. Simple companionship. See, and that feels like a nice bookend and a kind of nice way to end the story. Alright. That's that.